Well, hello there, everybody. A little bit of ELO. Yeah, we're going to be partying all over the world. That's what it says, and I happen to agree with that. I think it's an excellent philosophy, if you ask me. So, welcome to Hump Day. That means Nina has her show. I think it's an hour right after this one ends. When I end it, of course, that's always the mystery. And as I go over here, and I go there, and then I go over here, and everything is groovy. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and hey, I hope you're on the path that you have sought. If you're not, get the hell off it and find the one you're supposed to be on. And why not? Let me just speak favor over all of us, and favor means you're empowered to prosper, health, mentally, physically, financially, socially. Yeah, covers the whole gamut. Hey, Isby, what's up? Good to see you. How is everybody? And BOSTO. Yeah, be of service to others. It's interesting. I saw that pop up somewhere just recently, and I thought, yeah, people catching on to it. They may not have even heard of the Soul Tribe family, but they are sharing in the same vibration. So, hey, Deborah Sloan, what's up? Saul, good to see you. Martin, hello. Ruth Ann, good to see you. Eric, hello. Danny, good to see you. David Castle and Mr. Rufus. Scotty Boy, good to see you. Project Skyfall. Jules, much love, dear. Lost in Space, how are you? July, William, Danny, so many good, groovy people. Martin, Heidi, Gaia, Paul, Big Al. Big Al's on his way to see Miss Marsha. Big Al, give her a big hug for all of us. Hey, Cheryl, what's up? Ginger Grin, good to see you. Oh, I see this is a new age occultist channel making money. Well, actually, you're pretty ignorant on that, Mr. Ramez. Always amazing to see people come in with such judgments. That's not what we're about here. We don't judge one another, and no one's making money on anything here. You owe this group an apology. And if you don't give it an apology, might be best for you to go somewhere else, because you're kind of the negative type of person that, as ELO says, don't bring us down. Hey, Chloe, what's up? Good to see you, hon. Nina, what's up, hon? Amazing how people come in with some of that nonsense. I'm telling you, folks, you laugh, and the world laughs with you, right? You cry alone. Is that what they say? Hey, Matt Cow, what's up? Good to see you. New, what's going on? I saw that he didn't stick around much, did he? Well, when someone says, new age, understand, it's been so commercialized and merchandised, but actually there's a lot of foundation to it. It is a new age. And if someone is against a new age, then that implies basically that they're unable to learn, that they're regressed in their thinking, because if you're not at least finding something new every day, it's a trap. It's a trap. I'm telling you, it's a trap. Run, Forrest, run. Just run. That's all I got to say. We are prospering here, though. Favor means to be empowered to prosper. And again, we live by that because we are prospering. Hey, Suzanne, good to see you, my dear. So happy. And as he checks, this has been a very busy week. So anyway, I have some really good news. I haven't been able to get back to the gentleman, and it's my fault. I have been buried. And so this is my kind of my way of saying it's my fault, my apology. But Glenn Young the gentleman who did the ball theory, it is probably the most watched video that I have put out there. One of the most controversial. We have a rating here on the likes. We're about 99.2%. That's pretty good. Of that particular series, particularly the first one, it's pretty 50-50. Hello, Ballot Brand. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, Shannon. Much love. Anyway, Glenn wrote me, and we're going to get him on. He has some updated research material. And if you've never watched the Ball series, that was an exceptional piece of research. It was outstanding, historic, accurate, and the reason why it has such a cognitive dissonance is what's disassociation, but particularly those who are trapped in the God spell, is that it blows the whole narrative out of the water. Yahweh is not a nice dude. He is a wife beater, literally. And his brother, Baal, that's where we extrapolate Jesus and Lucifer. Yeah. And the thing that gets me is that how many people just don't understand what the Phoenicians really did, how they influenced all of what we would call Western culture. They traded in documents, and documents were sacred books, beliefs. And as they made their way around the Mediterranean, some say they went further than that. Wherever they went, they bartered and traded in religious documents, historical parchments. It's quite amazing. But we don't think that. We think that everything was in the Vatican and, they just made it all nice and pretty. No, it's messy. It's really messy. And the problem is it's so messy today that none of the religions resemble anything of what they had 1,000 years ago. So we will be having Glenn on. I'm looking forward to that. Brilliant individual in his research, and one that has had a huge impact on a lot of people. If you study who Baal is, and then you look at Washington, D.C., you just might see that sun temple that is invisible to all but those who see. Now, the question is, can you see? Boy, having fun today, aren't we? Hey, Gaia and Paul Harry. Hey, Grace, good to see you. Someone wrote me and said, this channel, we cover a lot of material, and we do. It's interesting. I was going through, just because I'm straightening out my library. We teach on sigils, do a lot of that. Great book, Forbidden Religion, Book of Giants, good one. Book of the Bee, another good one. Book of the Caves of Treasures, another good one. The Book of Enoch and the Giants, one of my favorite, The Morning Star. Yeah. Anyway, that's what we do. We try to cover knowledge, and we do a lot of sharing here. Seen someone yesterday when I was talking with Nina. With Trina and Nina. Yeah, that does kind of go, doesn't it? And talking about a flash drive. Forget how much memory they said on that, but that is something else. Well, thank you there, Ballot Brand. Appreciate that. So the angel for today this is interesting. It is Nith-Hyaya. I think that Nith-Hyaya. This is a cool angel, by the way. Angel 25, if you have the deck. And I believe we're going to be getting more progress on the deck. It's expensive. So Al, we're going to get it worked out there. I know that. This is Angel of Spiritual Wisdom and Magic. The generous God, patron of meditation, white magic, spiritual people with great intuition and psychic abilities, and all occultists. Well, hell, a friend of ours, comes over all the time. Good being to have, cheers. A toast to Nithaya. I love that name, Nithaya. Kind of just rolls. It's a spirit name, Nithaya, because it comes from the raw. Y'all been practicing? I have. We'll be getting into that. Anyway, brings understanding of the metaphysics and the Kabbalah, bestows us with self-control, patience, and serenity, teaches how to live in balance and harmony, facilitates achieving success with magic rituals, and brings spiritual charisma and knowledge of the esoteric world. I love this. Helps to understand the concept of time and discover the hidden mysteries of creation. Allows to hear divine music coming from higher realms. Oh, you gotta love these beings. I mean, I'm gonna open myself up a hotel and they'll have a complete suite of their own. Uncovers the secrets of the universe, shows how to interpret and understand dreams. How timely. Symbol of supreme love and eternal wisdom, fills us with energy to appreciate silence. Oh, silence is golden, golden. Yeah, remember that song? If you do, you've just told us a lot about yourself. You're beautiful. Teaches peace, love, and how to act calmly without a rush. Provides with visions and revelations when meditating. Protects from evil forces, hexes, misleading forms of love or wisdom, material interest, and self-centeredness. Frees from occult rituals, cures when we feel agitated, incoherent, or impatient. Heals egocentric and discouragement. Gotta love these angels, man. Hey, if you speak their name, they'll come and introduce yourself. Yeah. What else is going on? All right. So have you been practicing? Let me pull this up. In fact, I think I can do this without. Yes, I can. So remember this. So that's what your throat friction, sounds like. And it's interesting. I've been practicing that, practicing a little bit this morning in my meditation time. It's how should we say? It's energizing. It really is. And I have no doubt as techniques are learned, we continue to grow. 144 in here. This is pretty cool. I love that. Hey, Jenny, much love to you, my dear. AK Morning Star, message retract. Okay. Hey, Susie Q, good to see you, and all the rest. So let's get right into this. This is how we learn. Oh, I'm not going to be dealing on this one, but this is from the book. It's the Gilmore Awakening Lucifer. Very interesting little side note before we get into the exercise for the day. There is a renaissance, a resurgence of the knowledge, I guess, getting outside of the stereotyping that is so often associated with this being. If you buy into the fact that if there is a God in this realm, then you have to include Lucifer into it. And it's interesting because, different books have different takes on who and what Lucifer is. The evening star, the fallen angel, Lord of the path of flames, angel of death, deliverer of the profane, dark god of the Citra, Ahra, excuse me. Yeah. I just thought I might read this. This is the invocation to Lucifer. Oh, you're going to do the thing like that? Yeah. It's interesting because this is how you become balanced. If you can meet your fears, then they're no longer your fears. They become your allies. Brightest star of the morning, I call to thee, creator of light, progenitor of freedom, bringer of flame, I summon thee. Unholy master of flame, eternal giver of hellfire, and defier of blind submission, I open to you. Defiler of the sacred, deliverer of the profane, dark master of the unhallowed gnosis, may your light envelop me in your dragon fire. Empower me, inflame me, elevate me to your throne. Through darkest night you shine the brightest. From the depths of the void you beckon me, and I answer, heart, body, and soul. Electrifying me with your hellfire and charge me with your legions. Bring your kingdom to this chamber, unleash your hell upon this earth, and guide me to new heights of power. Whoa. People say, why'd you go and do that? Well, why not? Hey, it's just a matter of perspective. I can't figure this thing out. So if Lucifer is the angel of light, how is light bad? Are you saying that I should reject the light and go for the darkness? No, I'll just practice opening my third eye. All right, so the purposes and effect of the throat friction. The throat friction is a sound of energy. It quietens the mind, and when master instantaneously induces a tuned-in state of consciousness. One of its main actions is to amplify any psychic phenomenon. The way we use the throat friction in the following chapter will be to connect it with the area between the eyebrows to straighten your awareness, strengthen, and I guess that's synonymous, your awareness of the third eye. In later practices, the throat friction will be connected with the different structures of the body of energy to help reinforce them. What does connecting mean? It is a feeling that is easier to experience than to describe. Suppose you are trying to connect the throat friction with the area between the eyebrows. For instance, in the beginning, there is a simultaneous awareness of them. Then a resonance automatically takes place between the two. The area between the eyebrows seems to vibrate together with the throat friction. I'm still working on that. I'm feeling it more within the upper part of my chest and then beginning to move up. That's just me. Then a mixing takes place. The throat friction combines with the feeling between the eyebrows. There is a communication of energy between the larynx and the third eye. That is what is meant by connecting. There follows a simple but essential experience. The perception of the third eye quickly becomes more distinct and tangible. This result is clear and instantaneous. The effect of the throat friction is to give shape, make things more substantial. Therefore, whenever you connect the throat friction with a chakra or any other organ of energy, the organ becomes more perceptible. The larynx makes things manifest. It reveals them. Think about it. If we didn't have a larynx our words would be of no effect. Yeah. Maybe that's why all these beings come here, is because we can speak, we can actually create with our words. Maybe in other planets they don't. I don't know. Haven't met them. Maybe I have and never knew it. A similar effect will be observed when working on auras. You first have to build up the inner space and engage the process of seeing. Then some exercises will show how your perception of non-physical halos and auras is instantaneously boosted when combining throat friction and vision. The lights and colors will appear significantly denser, hello Trina, and more tangible. The throat friction can also be used to establish a linkage between different structures of energy. It's the discovery of witches, if you ever watched that series, and you know what weavers do. A lot of time, this is what I'm thinking about, as you're weaving different aspects of reality. Reality is made up of time, made up of the elements, whether it be fire, water, earth. Yeah. Weave those things. That's what I'm saying, baby. Not only can you connect the friction to the third eye or any other organ of energy, but you can also enhance the connection between different organs of energy, link them through the friction. For instance, in the chapters on channel release, you will work at establishing a linkage between the energy of the hands and that of the third eye. And in the chapters on protection, you will learn to connect the third eye with belly energies. As you advance along this path, you will discover several other miraculous functions associated with the larynx. It's interesting, the movie Dune, if you read the book, that's what it was about. Paul could speak, his name was the name that killed. For instance, the larynx of energy is a wonderful purifier. It can digest all kinds of toxic energies. It also plays a major role in the metabolism of the nectar of immortality. I recommend that you do not treat the throat friction as routine, but regard it as a sacred quest for the mysteries of the larynx. I had no idea, folks. Mysteries of the larynx. One finds in the Sanskrit literature some surprising stories about the voice. The Rakshas, or seer sages of ancient India, were said to have many extraordinary abilities called the Siddhas. Siddhas. One of them was the Vak voice, by which whatever the Rashi said would come true. Sometimes just uttering a word, a Rashi could materialize a whole army and change the course of history. Kind of reminds me of the teachings of the masters of the Far East, doesn't it? Wow. It followed that the spoken word was regarded as sacred and unalterable, which was not without its problems at times. For instance, in the Mahabharata, and I know I mispronounce it, but you live with it, the longest poem in the recorded history of humankind, the five, I think that's Pandava brothers, attended a tournament where one of them gains the most beautiful princess as a wife. Returning home, the brothers announced to their mother, the virtuous Kunta, "We have brought back a treasure." Then rather, unfortunately, the mother exclaims, "Good, let it be shared between the five of you." After which the princess has to become the wife of the five men, taking turns with each and supposedly without being partial to any of them. That's a weird story. Okay. The creative power of the voice is clearly expressed in the Sanskrit. where vac, voice, is often regarded as the synonym for sancti, which is the creative energy, the power of manifestation. In various trends of ancient Greek philosophy, one finds a similar concept in the logos. The primary meaning of logos is word, but it also means creative principle. Later in the Gospel of John, originally written in the Greek, it is also the term logos, which is used to characterize the creative principle by which the creation was manifested. In the beginning was the logos, the word, and the logos was with God, and the logos was God. Note that the first book of the Old Testament also presents a picture in which at various stages of the genesis of the world, God uses the power of the word to create. And God said, "Let there be light." Just to detract there a second. So if there wasn't light before this, then what was there? Darkness. So this God is a God of darkness. I digress. Okay. And there was light. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures," and so on and so on. In my epic novel, Atlantean Secrets, I have that book in PDF, by the way. You will find startling descriptions of the mysterious power of the voice cultivated by the Atlantean initiates, through which they could influence nature, perform healings, and accomplish a whole range of miraculous feats. Rudolf Steiner, in his teachings, has also left many indications related to the power of the voice. An aspect he has particularly developed is the polarity between voice and generative organs, for which he describes many consequences as far as the evolution of mankind is concerned. Apart from Steiner's indications, certain simple facts show that there is a connection between the voice, and therefore the larynx, and sexual energy. For instance, it is when the sexual organs developed at puberty that the male voice changes pitch due to the actions of the male hormone testosterone. In women, alterations of the voice can also be observed following menopause. In astrology, the voice organ is related to the sign of Taurus and the sexual organs to Scorpio. The polarity between the sexual organs and the larynx is indicated by the opposition between the two signs. Taurus is ruled by Venus, Scorpio by Mars. Venus and Mars form a couple with dialectically opposed functions. And there you go, they are. Another connection between the voice and organs of generation can be found in the ancient Hebrew, where one of the words for voice is yada, coming from the root yada, meaning to know. It is certainly no coincidence that the biblical way of referring to sexual intercourse is yada, to know, coitus, for instance. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain. Not necessarily, but anyway, in acupuncture, the point of, what is it? Is that Kai Chung? The stomach, located on the side of the pubic bone, has among its symptoms sore throat after sexual intercourse. One can find several other connections in traditional Chinese medicine between sexual energy and throat. For instance, among the organs, it is the kidney that is said to be the storehouse of sexual energy. And in the throat, one finds the tonsils, which also have the shape of a kidney. I hope you didn't let them take your tonsils out. When there is a release of fire by the kidney, it may result in an inflammation of the pharynx, the pharyngitis, or the tonsils, tonsillitis. But let us return to Steiner in the book at his views on the future of the voice organ. Steiner considered that in the trend of human evolution, the importance of certain body parts is slowly waning, while some other organs will play a more and more essential role in the future. The sexual organs belong to the first category, while the larynx definitively belongs to the second. Steiner has often mentioned that around the middle of Lemuria, the epoch that preceded Atlantis, a critical event took place in the occult history of mankind. Until then, the libido of human beings was still directed entirely towards procreation, so that each human being was able to generate offspring of its own. In other words, we were all hermaphrodites. One single being could give birth to another being without having to be, how shall we say, functicated by anyone. Wow. You know, there is that theory that Adam was initially a hermaphrodite, but yeah. Note that the concept of primordial human beings as hermaphrodites is found not only in Steiner, but in also several myths of various traditions. Then Steiner describes how, in the middle of the cataclysmic alterations of planet Earth, human beings lost half of their procreative energy. They stopped being hermaphrodites. The sexes were separated. Each human being retained only half of the procreative energy, and from then on had to find someone of the other sex in order to have a child. I can buy this. What happened to the other half of the procreative energy, the one that was no longer available for procreation? According to Steiner, it was redirected towards a different function, catching the ego or higher self. Until then, human beings had been living like blobs, completely disconnected from their ego. Okay. We have walking zombies today. Is that ego, or is that just, I don't know. And it was by the redirection of half of their sexual force that they established the beginnings of the connection with the ego. They became spiritual beings. Such a vision suggests quite an interesting way of looking at the relation between sexual energy and spirituality, and at sexuality in general. For example, it presents the sexual instinct as a quest for the lost half. And at the same time, it suggests that the lost half is not ultimately to be found outside in a union with another being, but in a full communion with one's own spirit. It also suggests that the sexual energy and the energy that allows us to connect with the spirit are fundamentally the same nature, and that the latter is nothing other than a refined or redirected form of the former. This conception fits quite well with the Taoist system of inner alchemy, in which one works at refining and transmuting the sexual energy in order to generate the embryo of immortality, the subtle body in which the fullness of the higher self can be experienced permanently. But let us return to the voices. Steiner describes how after human beings had half of their sexual energy redirected around the middle of the Lemurian epoch, some new organs appeared in the human body. The larynx was one of them. This establishes a direct connection between the transformed and the spiritualized sexual energy and the larynx. As long as the hermaphrodite's sexual energy was 100% directed towards procreation. Okay, the larynx could not appear. Once part of the sexual energy was refined, in order to start catching the spirit, the larynx started to develop. Now, if we try to understand the present function of our larynx, we see that through the voice we express our thoughts and our emotions, which is a way of giving them a more defined form. As soon as you start practicing the exercises given in the first chapter of this book, you will realize that the throat friction makes your third eye more tangible, as if shaping it. You will tune into your third eye, and as soon as you start implementing the throat friction, the third eye will immediately be perceived more clearly and more intensely. Steiner predicts that in the future of humankind, the larynx's capacity to give form will become extreme, and the creative power of the word will manifest even in the physical plane. Just by saying a word, the corresponding object will be materialized. Even though staggering if one measures its implications, this concept, after all, is no different from the Vakt Shaddai, or creative power of the word, which according to the Sanskrit text, the ancient Indian rishis had mastered. This suggests that human beings are gradually gaining the capacity to create, similar to that of the Elohim in the Old Testament. In other words, it presents human beings as creative gods in the making, a theme that runs through the whole of the Western esoteric tradition, starting in Genesis when Adam, having eaten of the tree of knowledge, the Elohim exclaimed, "Behold, the man is become as one of us." All these considerations on the larynx leads one to think that there may be some symbolic meaning behind the fable that Adam's apple was a piece of the fruit of the tree of knowledge that remained stuck in his throat. Interestingly enough, Steiner foresaw a crucial step in the long-term evolution of the larynx, a sexual force having been completely transmuted. The procreative function will no longer be implemented from the sexual organs, but from the larynx. Human beings will then have gained the capacity to speak their children into existence. And isn't it interesting that the piece of the supposed apple is what we call the Adam's apple? This is an interesting, I don't know how many of you are into Steiner, but for a lot of people, when they first hear of his theories, it kind of blows them away. As knowledge should. Another of Steiner's visions, which is quite consistent with several other sources of the Western esoteric tradition, is that with the final transmutation of the sexual energy into the creative power of the voice will come the end of death, physical immortality. The end of the sexual organs means the end of the separation of the human beings into two sexes. In the Gospel of Philip, one of the most exciting of the Gnostic Gospels, it is unequivocally stated that if the woman had not been separated from the man, she would not have to die with the man. It is the separation of the sexes that causes the beginning of death. The same text further indicates that as long as Eve was in Adam, there was no death. It is when she separated from Adam that death began. If the man becomes whole again, it will be the end of death. This can be put in parallel with the Gospel of Thomas, in which Jesus tells his disciples that it is by making the two one that they will become the sons of man. The move mountains by saying, "Mountain move." That's Mark 11:23 and 24. If you would but say unto this mountain, "Be ye cast up and thrown into the sea," and not doubt in your heart, but believe that those things for which you say, they shall come to pass. It's still in me. Then the lost word on which the Masonic tradition is based will have been recovered and the temple rebuilt forever. The alchemists often defined their art as a way of speeding up the natural processes of evolution of nature. For instance, they considered that all the metals were on their way to becoming gold. and that by transmuting base metals into gold, one does nothing other than achieve within a short time what nature would otherwise take a long time to accomplish. Okay. I can hear Karen. Then why do we have to dig so much to get so little of it? I know. I will have several occasions in this book and others of the clear vision corpus to come back to the inner significance of gold and the alchemist. They feed off of. We generate this gold substance within us, folks. It's, yeah. Some of us have more than others. And those that have more than others are so oftenly more attacked. At this stage, we could use this concept of speeding up to define inner alchemy. Inner alchemy aims to achieving now transformations that humankind will only complete much later in its natural course of evolution. The throat friction is designed to achieve an alchemical transformation of the larynx and start tapping from its creative power. In particular, in the clairvision style of inner alchemy, the larynx is used extensively to give shape and to densify various structures of the body of energy, as you will start experiencing with the practices of Chapter 3. The humming sound and the magic of bees. Sit in a meditation position with your back extremely straight. Become aware of the cervical part of the spine, in the neck, and aim for a perfectly vertical position aligned with the rest of the back. Keep your eyes closed. Become aware of the larynx. Start chanting a continuous humming, buzzing sound, making your throat vibrate. Make the sound while both exhaling and inhaling. Make short inhalations and long exhalations. Remain aware of the physical vibration generated in your larynx by the buzzing. Continue the practice for several minutes. Then remain silent and motionless for a few more minutes, just feeling the vibration in the throat. So it's like, yeah. Put your finger right there. It helps too, man. For me, this technique, these are tips, can be quite intoxicating. If practiced long enough, it induces a slightly exhilarating, altered state of consciousness. The effect is strongly reinforced by being aware in the third eye at the same time, according to the principles developed in the next chapter. One way of practicing this exercise is to make your humming sound resemble the buzzing of a bee. Is that how we got to do it? Then the practice becomes the Baharayam technique of the Hatha Yoga. I think I actually got that. If this proves difficult, don't worry. Any humming sound will do, provided you create a tangible vibration which you can feel when placing your fingers on the purpubescence of the larynx. Bees, who are great experts in humming, buzzing sounds, are highly alchemical little creatures. Their connection with the sexual energy of plants is easy to observe. For instance, they help many plants to reproduce by carrying pollen, the plant equivalent of semen, from one to another. They take the nectar from the reproductive parts of plants and turn it into honey. Speaking of which, cheers. I hope you're enjoying this. This is great information. Honey is a remarkable substance in many ways. It keeps for years, 1,000, without any preservation process, a very long time, especially if you compare it to the lifespan of a worker bee, which is about 1 or 2 months. So the bees take a sexually related product and turn it into a non-perishable substance. This, of course, reminds us of the alchemical processes by which the sexual forces is transmuted and which results in the formation of the body of immortality. On a simpler level, royal jelly, another product of the hive, is highly sought after and regarded as a substance of longevity. Honey, interestingly enough, has always been considered an excellent remedy for the throat, and bees a symbol of eloquence. In Hebrew, one of the words for voice is dibar, which comes from the root word diber, which gives the verb diber, to speak, and bee is divora, coming from the same root word. The name Deborah comes from the Hebrew word Devora, meaning bee. Deborah, did you know that? We got several Deborahs. I'm thinking Deborah Sloan and the others. Y'all, did you know that? All right, we got 15 or so minutes. We're going to keep on. Awakening the third eye. 3.1. What is the third eye? The third eye is the gate that opens to the space of consciousness and to the inner worlds. It is also the main organ through which the body of energy can be awakened and governed. So practically, the third eye acts as a switch, which can activate higher frequencies of the body of energy and thereby lead to higher states of consciousness. From a therapeutic point of view, it has been my experience over the years that many clients get better when they connect with their third eye, whatever the nature of their problem. Due to its function as a switch, as soon as it is activated, the third eye tends to set into motion several circulations of energy. This automatically results in correcting a number of physical and emotional disorders, a process that can be described as kind of a self-acupuncture. Moreover, when the beginning of the third eye awakening tends to put people in touch with more profound aspects of themselves, which in itself has a huge healing action. Of course, I am not suggesting that it is enough to connect with the third eye to heal everything, but still the potential of this center is so enormous that I would not be surprised if in the coming decades, more and more third eye therapies were developed. Opportunity. For a spiritual point of view, in both the Christian and Hindu tradition, one finds texts that compare the body to a temple. If we were to develop an analogy, we could compare the third eye to the temple's portal. By crossing the portal, one goes from the profane to the sacred, from the stage where one reads and thinks about spiritual life to the stage where one starts experiencing it. The third eye has always been regarded by those who seek to know themselves as a most precious jewel, hence the precious stone placed in the forehead of statues of Buddhists. In this chapter, we will describe how to begin to establish a connection with the third eye, the practice 3.2. Then we will cover a technique of meditation through which the third eye can be further explored and developed. Primary advice for the opening practice. This opening practice is designed to give you a first thread to the third eye by awakening a certain feeling between the eyebrows. It is designed to be practiced only once or a few times within a short period of time. Then the work on the eye will be continued with the meditation technique indicated below and with all the other practices of the book. A good way to start is to choose a day when you don't have anything else to do. at the beginning of a weekend, for instance, or to focus intensely on the practices. After this strong initial imprint, it will be easier to follow the rest of the techniques. You can either do the practices alone or with friends, which will make the energy more intense. This is why we've got to have the lodge. I'm telling you, got to get together, folks. Got to get the band together. The best day of the month to start is the one preceding the full moon. However, you do not have to worry too much about the calendar. The important thing is to do it rather than wait for the perfect time. Preferably wear a light colored clothes. White is best. Avoid wearing black. Remember that you are dealing with subtle perception. The vibration should not be expected to feel like a dagger in your forehead. Even if you could only perceive a faint little tingling or pressure between the eyebrows, that will be enough to start the process. All the other practices in the book will contribute to enhancing and developing the perception. Remember, no imagination, no visualization. Let things come to you. A certain tiny vibration is already present between the eyebrows in everybody. The purpose is to reveal this natural vibration in order to cultivate it later on. Read the instructions given in the following section carefully a few times before putting them into practice. How to begin to prepare. Choose a quiet room where no one will disturb you for at least an hour. You do not have to be alone. You can implement this practice together with friends, but there should not be anyone in the room who is not practicing with you. Light candles around the room. Take off your shoes. Undo your belt, tie, or other restrictive clothing. Hopefully you're not wearing that. I think a robe would be appropriate. Yeah, I don't know. Take off your watch. Yes. Lie down on the floor, on a carpet, blanket, or thin mat. The arms should not be crossed, but should lie by your side. It is preferable to have the palms facing upwards. The legs should not be crossed. Close your eyes. Keep your eyes closed until the end of the practice. Relax for 2 to 3 minutes. Do 5 or 10 minutes of humming sound. Phase 1. Become aware in the throat. Start breathing with the throat friction, as explained in the last chapter, section 2.1. Become aware of the vibration generated in the larynx by the friction. Just be aware, without any particular concentration. Flow with the energy. If some movements take place in your body or in your consciousness, just let them happen. Continue for 5 to 10 minutes, breathing with the friction, aware of the vibration in the larynx, nothing else. Phase 2, maintain the throat friction. Instead of placing your awareness in the larynx, now become aware in the area between your eyebrows. Do not concentrate. If you grasp the area between the eyebrows with too tight a focus, the process can unfold. Flow with the energy. Follow what comes spontaneously. If the breath naturally changes and becomes more intense, then follow the breath. But make sure that you maintain some friction in the throat throughout these first 5 phases of the practice. Remain just aware between the eyebrows, breathing with the throat friction for about 5 minutes. Time precision is not relevant for this practice, so there is no need to look at your watch. Phase 3, place the palm of your hand in front of the area between the eyebrows. The hand does not touch the skin. It is about 3 to 5 centimeters or 1 to 2 inches away. See the illustration? Note that the hand does not touch the skin. For a few minutes, stay lying on the floor with the eyes closed, breathing with the throat friction aware between the eyebrows and the palm 1 inch in front of this area. Phase 4, keep your hand in front of you or put it back to your side as you prefer. Remain with your eyes closed, breathing with the throat friction aware between the eyebrows. Start looking for a vibration between the eyebrows. It can take a different form, either a clear vibration or a tingling, or even a rather blurry pressure, a weight, or a density between the eyebrows. Do not try hard. Remain open, vacant. Let things happen. Note that your eyes remain closed during all phases of this practice. Phase 5, as soon as the faintest feeling of vibration or tingling or pressure, pulsation, density or weight is perceived, proceed as follows. Start connecting the throat friction with the feeling between the eyebrows. Connecting means being aware of both the friction and the vibration or density or pressure between the eyebrows at the same time. As you proceed, the link between the friction energy and the third eye will be perceived more and more clearly. This vibration will change as you combine it with the friction. It will become more subtle and yet more intense at the same time. If vibration or tingling is felt in some other part of the body, for instance, the whole of the forehead, the arms, or even the whole body, do not pay attention to it. Just remain aware of the vibration between the eyebrows. Continue this phase for about 10 minutes, building up the vibration between the eyebrows by connecting it with the throat friction. Remember, no imagination, no visualization, just flow with what comes. Phase 6, stop the throat friction. Do not focus on the vibration anymore. Remain with your eyes closed, just aware between the eyebrows for another 10 minutes or more. Be extremely still, feeling the energy around you. The more motionless you become, the more you can tune in. Observe if any feelings of light or colors can be perceived between the eyebrows. Here are some tips, tricks, and traps. Do not concentrate or grasp the area between the eyebrows. Just keep a very gentle focus on the area. Grasping would only block the process. Do not try to let things happen. Focusing between the eyebrows just means being aware of the area and not directing your eyeballs as if trying to look at this area. If you were to implement such movements of the eyeballs, it would create a tension that could only disturb the natural course of the experience. So the eyeballs are not directed in any particular direction. Same throughout the book. A common experience in the beginning is to feel vibration or pressure or density, not only in the areas between the eyebrows, but also in other parts of the forehead or the face. If this happens, don't pay attention to it. Just focus on the vibration between the eyebrows, connecting with it with the throat friction. With practice, everything will fall into place. If you practice with friends, make sure you are not touching each other in order to avoid inappropriate transfers of energy. If the experience becomes too intense, all you have to do is open your eyes and you will be brought back to your normal state of consciousness. Okay, that's a good spot to break off of. This is pretty cool. I hope you're enjoying it. I think that this is going to open some interesting chakras with in us all. I don't know about you. Hey, Deborah Truex, how are you, my dear? Good to see you. Anina's show comes up in an hour over hers. Ronnie, it's good stuff. You know, this is practicing. It's what I like about it is that it gives the techniques. And if you want the book, just email me. You can print the pages off. It helps. I think having a partner in this would be pretty cool. That's just me. Lady Rose, you are a blessing. Thank you for sharing. Oh, well, thank you, Lady Rose. It's reciprocated. I think, like I say, I think we're going to do some spiritual busting of ass, man. That's just me. I mean, I know we got to start out, but many of us are already so well versed in other modalities and other techniques that this one here, I don't think it's going to be that big of a stretch. But exercising does, by its very word, mean we're not going to get it the first time. But I'll tell you what, you give us a month at doing this. Holy crap, Batman. Well, hello, Pedro from Portugal. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Hello, Martin and Heidi. My tonsils are being burned out when oh, really? Isn't that interesting? I know a lot of people that had their tonsils removed. I didn't. I still have mine, but, you know, it's interesting. It's these kind of things that you go, well, that's why they put it in there. It's just that we lost the technique. So let's see. That message doesn't need to be held for review. There that is. All right, everybody. This is far out stuff, man. I don't care what anyone says. This is far out stuff. I mean, wow, we've covered a lot of material, but this one, I love it. It's step-by-step instructions. And I am really looking forward to what happens with the rest of us on this. Yeah. Cool, Nina. Yeah. Big Al, you're welcome. Tell Perry there hello. Fact builder. You know, that's a good question. I think maybe yes. I think if you've activated your third eye and you begin to really activate it, I think they would know as well. I think it would be like this, you know, freaking spotlight, you know, it's up, there's another one just got activated. Indeed, Robert Scott, it's just like muscles. This takes a little bit of time. That's it. All right, folks, tune in to Nina. I'll see you tomorrow. Love to all of you. This is groovy stuff. I mean, wow. And I can't think of a better group of spirit beings to share it with. I mean, yeah. Danny and Pamela K from South Mississippi. How are you doing? So good to see you. Welcome. Gotta love this group. 88, thumbs up. There's that 88 again. Something significant is happening with us. That's a good sign, wherever you see 88 showing up. All right. Well, Pedro, I'll see you tomorrow for sure. Hey, Jenny. It's like, yeah, I agree. All right, folks. Peace. Peace in our time. I just say, let's get this evolution. Let's jumpstart it. That's what I say. All right, folks. Much love. See you tomorrow.